Hey guys, what's going on? Today we're going to learn a little bit of Ruby. We're going to talk about Ruby variables. Now, what exactly is a variable? In programming, a variable is a value that can change depending on conditions or information passed to the program. Typically, a program consists of instructions that tell the computer what to do, and data that the program uses when it's running. I guess what I'm trying to say is, a variable is used to store data. Now, we're going to go ahead and type out our first variable, which is hello world, if I can learn how to spell. Hello world. This is going to be our first variable, and it's going to have a value, and this is how you give a variable a value. You use the equal sign, and we're going to set it equal to the actual term, hello world. Okay. So now that we have set this variable to the term hello world, which is a string, by the way, and there are variable types, and I think that is a we'll get to that lesson next time because I'm not even sure if you guys actually want this type of video. But yeah, it's a string type of variable. There's going to be booleans, there's integer. Yeah, anyways, so how do we display this variable? How do we know that this variable has actually carried out? How do we know that hello world actually contains the string hello world? And the only way we're actually going to know that is if we actually output the data. And you're going to see my Pirate Project 2 here. This is another project I was working on. I'm working on a Sinatra project. We'll get into that later. If you guys really like this, I don't know, let me know please. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what the project is called. In my case, it's called Sinatra Project. It's called, Pirate Project 2, and it is a Sinatra project. But I'll show you how that is being completed later on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and display the data. So to display data in Ruby, you want to use the put statement, and then now that we have assigned the variable, you can actually use it wherever you want. As soon as I can click it, and you want to never forget to save. Very important that you save. To actually get the program to run, we actually have to put in the terminal. Sorry, I always forget this. It's you have to put Ruby and then the name of the file that actually contains the commands. And if it's within files, we can talk about that later. That would be more likely for like another lesson, but you just have to navigate to it and the file would run just as normal. But back to our example here. We outputted hello world. We set the variable hello world equal to hello world, the string, and then we output hello world, which is actually outputting this right here. To prove that, we can name the variable whatever we want, like Abdulio Canio is equal to, let's set it equal to the same string, hello world. Alright, let's go ahead and output Abdulio Canio and see what the output of that's going to be. Hello world. So this is how variables work. Now there's a lot of different things you can do with variables. I think the top question on your mind is, why are we doing it like this? Why don't we just output hello world? Well, hello world itself will actually work as well. But the reason why we do it like this is so we can use values over and over again without actually referring to the actual object. When I mentioned earlier that you can store strings, integers, you can also store values as well. You can store actual objects, and this is what, at some point, if you guys like the series, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But let's say dog is a variable. We're going to store a dog object into it, and it has a name, it has a breed, it has an age. So this is going to store, so this variable right here would store a actual representation of a dog, which is pretty cool. But that's a little bit more advanced than I'm trying to get to in this lesson. Yeah, so I guess another good example of what you can do with variables, aside from storing strings, is you can actually store numbers as well. So let's call a variable foo, and then we have a variable var, okay? So the variable foo, let's set that equal to, I don't know, 3. Variable bar is going to be equal to 9, okay? So now that we know, so we set these values to integers, and I guess I should probably show you the output before I do anything with it. Foo. I should show you that it's working. And Control C, Control V. Alright, there you go. So it's printing out the values foo and bar, the integers. So we both know that. We know that the values are actually stored in there. There will almost never be an instance where the values will not get stored into a variable if you specifically set them like this, but it's just to prove a point. Okay, and then now let's go ahead and add foo plus bar and see what happens. Feel free to pause the video and give a good guess. There you go. So 12. So what we see going on over here is that foo is being added to bar, which is 3 is being added to 9, which is resulting in 12. Now, what about strings? Like, if you can add foo and bar, why can't you add hello world and Abdulio Canio? Well, let's figure out what happens there. And I'll go ahead and tell you what that's called too, once we get this set up in a minute. So what's going to happen when we add these together? Oop. Boom. So what happens is it basically joins the strings. What's going on here is that we're adding the strings, and this process is called concatenation. Anytime you use a plus, anytime you assign a string to a variable and then I guess add it. I guess you don't have to. You don't have to assign it to a variable, but every time you, I guess, add a string, that is called concatenation. And there's also other ways you can do it as well, but I guess we'll get into that once again a little bit later in the series, depending on how many views this video gets. And I guess like the last lesson that I would like to cover for today, because I'm not exactly sure if you guys are even enjoying this, is the interpolation. Okay. So interpolation is in essence where you have a string and you're injecting, and this is probably not the best way to think of it. Well, I mean, it is the best way to think of it, but it's not like the technical term. You're injecting a variable into a sentence. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably the best way to explain it. And I'm about to show you how it's done. So we have a string right here, and we're going to save that to a variable called sentence, okay? And this sentence is going to be, my name is, I don't know, Eddie. Okay. And this is where interpolation comes in. So we have a variable called name. Let's set that equal to Eddie. Alright. And now we want to delete this Eddie right here. I guess I should have deleted it in the first place, but we have a sentence called my name is, and then we have a name Eddie. Now, how do we interpolate? Interpolate, remember, we're injecting the variable in. And yeah, it's probably not the most technical term, once again, so please forgive me, Rubyist. But you basically put the variable into the hashtag curly brace, and what's going to happen is it's going to take this variable right here, Eddie, and it's going to put it inside the sentence. So the sentence itself is going to equal to my name is Eddie, and I'm about to show you the output right now. See, if you look in the output terminal, you're going to see the output as my name is Eddie, and that's how you know it's worked successfully. I think I'm going to stop the video here for now. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, please leave it in the comments below. And this is, well, if you're enjoying the first episode, please let me know. I'll make a second episode. And yeah, guys, I hope to see you later. Peace.